I'm the Plant Gals, and today we're gonna be reorganizing my IKEA greenhouse cabinets. So basically, my last video was a tour of my plants, and I think the very clear staple of my plant collection is that I keep most of my plants in cabinets, and this video is inspired by these two pieces. I think I mentioned in the last video that this cabinet right now is missing a shelf. I usually have two shelves in this cabinet. Right now I just have plants able to sit on the very bottom, and basically I lost these two pieces that hold the shelf up in my Redsta during my move, so I needed to get more. And life hack, major life hack, I went on the IKEA website and I was like, hey, I lost these, and they sent these to me for free. So that was really awesome, and I'm really obsessed with that. So yeah, these are my two cabinets. I have my OG is the IKEA Redsta wide, and I also have the IKEA Millsbow tall. Both of these cabinets have served me well. I've had no issues with them. And basically, I mean, since my cabinets are such a staple of my collection, I thought that it would kind of be relevant to talk about why I keep my plants in cabinets and my general setup and my general idea behind it. So, I mean, it's pretty clear that these are not the cleanest cabinets on the whole planet, and I feel like that's very representative of how I keep my plants and why I keep them in cabinets. I've talked about it a little bit, but I have a chronic illness, so plant care has to be as streamlined and easy as possible for me. And these cabinets make it so easy, but they obviously would make it easy for anyone. They're able to provide better conditions in a localized environment so that I don't have to crank up the humidity in my entire house to have some really cool plants grow really well. Some other things that I've experimented with a lot of stuff with my cabinets over the years, and so you'll notice a few things that you'll probably see in other YouTubers' cabinets that aren't in mine. First thing is weather stripping. As you can see there are holes here. A lot of people have weather stripping in their cabinets to hold more humidity. I have found that my cabinets hold humidity fine. Having this tiny gap affects the humidity a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I actually like having the airflow. So at one point in time, I did have case fans in my Redsta to circulate the airflow because I had it above 90% humidity, which is very high. And it's honestly a pain. So I've changed how I do things now, and I have my dome, which keeps all my really high humidity plants. I just keep them in there. And I mostly use these cabinets to keep the humidity a little bit higher, but to centralize the lighting system so that I have more lighting. Because light is honestly king when it comes to pretty much all these plants. I have two different types of lights in this cabinet, and you can actually see both right now. So here, these little strips are Barinas from Amazon. Just the typical Barina grow lights that everybody says they use. I like them, they're fine. I much more prefer these ones, which are I get them from Home Depot. I'm sure you could probably order them online. I'll see if I can insert the name of what they're called. These ones are great because I can control the red, white, and blue functions on them. I can flick off the white, so now it's just red. I can flick off the red, so now it's off. I can have just blue, I can have just red, I can have just white, and typically I keep it red and white. And that's why my plants usually look kind of pink. I only have Barinas on this one shelf here. They're fine, but yeah, I definitely prefer the other ones that I use. I also have those stuck at the top. My lights are all stuck on with command strips. It's worked for me. Occasionally, you know, some things fall off. Here's the thing. The reason that I have to reorganize my cabinets every so often is because plants grow. And I would say the number one issue I have with my cabinets is that my plants are always growing, which is awesome and it's exciting, and then that actually means that my cabinets are working. But the problem is that plants kind of outgrow the cabinets. And I'm just gonna be roaming around my cabinet, moving things around, probably watering a lot of things, so that I can kind of get everything done at once, and seeing where everything ends up and explaining why things end up there. My cabinets change a lot. I do this maybe every few months because plants are always changing, always growing. This is Chloe from the future. I've already finished these cabinets, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the people who have subscribed. I've gained so many subscribers since my last plant tour. Please keep that up because it's amazing and it means that I get to share my really cool plants, really cool animals, and little adventures and tips and tricks with more people. So thank you so much for that. Like, comment, whatever, and tell me which plants are your favorite and which tips you liked, or if there's any more information you want to know. If you're wondering how I water most of my plants, I have this crusty old tub that I fill up with water a couple inches, and then I mostly bottom water them, and then the ones that take longer to water, I'll use a watering can to water from the top. But yeah, I'm gonna fill this up and put a little bit of fertilizer in it before we get going. Okay, so because gatekeeping is stupid, I'm actually gonna take a second to show you which fertilizers I use. So my kind of basic fertilizer that I use if I can't find this other one that I have right now is this one. I know that this is the one that you see everywhere. That's like the cheapest one. It's honestly great. I've used it for years. It's probably my favorite fertilizer, to be honest. For the price, for how good it is, you really probably never need to upgrade from this one, to be honest. But I have a couple others. If you want the insider scoop on what all of the really rare people like, this is it. This is Super Thrive Foliage Pro. So most of the houseplants we grow foliage plants. Foliage just means like leaves, essentially. You're not growing like flower plants. Super Thrive Foliage Pro is harder to get in Canada and also maybe the States, I'm not sure. Just because importing fertilizers has become infinitely more complicated lately for all sorts of reasons that I don't know and don't understand. But yeah, Super Thrive Foliage Pro. If you want to give your plants a little bit of an extra boost, especially if they're sort of things like flowering plants or Hoya, my absolute favorite of all time is CalMag. Honestly, probably any CalMag is fine, but I get this one that's the Falling Leaf West Coast CalMag Boost. You know you have the one if it has the illegal, well, it depends on where you are. It's not illegal where I am, but the illegal looking substance on the front. But yeah, these are great. These are my favorite fertilizers. This one is like extra supplemental. These two would be more like every other watering. And this one is also great for semi-hydro. So like when you grow your plants in pond or leca, this fertilizer is great. But yeah, these are my secrets. These are my life hacks. These are the only 3 fertilizers I own and I swear by them. So now you know. Okay, so I have the shelf in and I've moved my dome from there to here. And I have also, Mr. Dragon can move his tail. I also have my cactus up here. This is one of the big reasons I really wanted this cactus to get way more light because it needs way more light and it was just down here. Right now I just have my staghorn hanging out and I know that my strawberry shake can fit there nicely. Now I have to figure out what else is gonna fit here nicely because a lot of these guys are too big. This is also where things get a lot more interesting because the Barinas are a little bit of a weaker grow light than these grow lights that I have, these guys and the same ones that I have in there. I know that I kind of want my Piper to grow up here because I like seeing my Piper more, but I know that my Piper actually grows better down here. So this is where I have to decide what actually makes sense. And obviously this is very junglist down here. We're gonna finally be able to distribute some of it back up to this level, which is gonna be nice. I just discovered that my No ID Anthurium fits perfectly in this cow pot. I haven't had something that fits really nicely in this pot for a long time because it's like a really weird shape, but this one will fit perfectly. And yes, I'm so excited because I love this pot and I'm so happy I can finally have it out again. So right now, as you can see, I have 2 Hoya in these cups and 1 in this tray. My Kaimuki was there, but it's way too floppy. So I'm gonna see if I have another cup and then I'm gonna put my Kaimuki in it because I do like having my Hoya on the background here. I think it's pretty. And I'm gonna get rid of that tray because it's just not stable enough. I'm gonna try and sneak this. But back in, I lied, it's probably gonna stay because I don't actually have another little cup, but I have my rat pot and I was able to stabilize this Hoya, if you can see it, my Wilbur Graves, with the rat pot in that tray for a while. So my thought process is maybe I can do that again. Okay, so the Kaimuki is in the rat and honestly, that's way more stable. Okay, good job, Rat. This time where I get to do this type of thing with my plants is honestly so valuable because this guy was getting a bit floppy and I didn't even realize it, and I took the time to Velcro him up a little bit more stable. I have never had my Aglaonema spilled milk in anywhere but this cabinet, literally its entire life on that bottom shelf. So, I don't know, the change shouldn't be too different. Hopefully it's fine. Worst case, I can move it back and it can just squish up against the top. But yeah, she's gonna be living in the Mills bow now, I think, because there's just, as you can see from like the levels, like this is obviously the top shelf there, that's the top shelf. I have a lot of extra room in this cabinet for the taller plants. So that's why I'm trying to be smart about organizing them so I can actually like maximize my space, because having an extra shelf gives me a ton more space. Easily the hardest decision of this whole video is deciding whether or not I put my variegated burl marks back in this cabinet. This plant has lived here for like 4 years. I think I am gonna leave it there because I just don't have room for it outside of the cabinet right now, even though it takes up so much real estate. This plant is absolutely massive, but also beautiful at the same time. I really love this plant. It grows like crazy. Nothing about it is normal. All of its stems are twisted together and weird, but honestly, it's doing great. This is how it's supposed to grow, and I think I'm just gonna keep it here because this plant is really sentimental to me. So this is my final setup. Aesthetically, I really liked how it looked before, but I think that this is just gonna be much more functional. And I do like how I was able to give my staghorn more room to kind of show off, because I love that plant. And some of the big wins in terms of like lighting. So my monkey tail cactus can finally get way more light there. All of my carnivorous plants can get way more light, which they really, really needed in that dome. Pretty much this setup is very similar to before, except I have my, oh gosh, not this one, Philodendron Orange Princess Marble Galaxy right there. I'll open it up and show you guys everything. But yeah, it's gonna be great for the carnivorous plants to be getting that more light from, it's literally right there. Same with that guy. But yeah, I think it looks really good in here. It's not overly crowded, but I like my cabinets more crowded than most people, so maybe that's up for debate. I think the top cabinet looks really great here, and then this is my bottom cabinet, or sorry, shelves, I guess. So I did move my Aglaonema spilled milk in here. She's kind of hiding my burl marks flame in the back, but that's fine. I have my Monstera albo still in here. Eventually that will definitely outgrow this very soon. Both of these will. And honestly, this one's really close too. But hopefully I can kind of keep them in here for maybe another year. We'll see. Polypoidioides going strong and putting out, really close to putting out a new leaf since I propped her. And then yeah, my Piper is kind of where I kept her. I was able to figure out my Hoya and have them nice and set up along the back there so they're getting lots of light and they're stable. And then I moved my Anthurium up here. I think all of my Anthurium except for my out of cabinet Anthurium are up here. I have my Begonia in the corner so that she can stay propped up. My Whippleway, my Obliqua. Honestly, everybody looks great in here. This might be a bit too much light for the Obliqua. We will see how she does there. And yeah, that's my setup. Honestly, this worked really well. So some other things I just want to mention before I like finish out this video is that I just really like doing a lot of chores at once, if that makes sense. So whenever I take the opportunity to do this, I'm also pest checking every plant that I move around because it's a good opportunity. I'm checking them to see if they need water, if they have any issues. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to just go through everything and figure that out. These cabinets definitely look a lot more full and a lot like my setup in Edmonton. And yeah, it's nice that it's finally back to normal because IKEA was able to send me those pieces for free. I'm gonna use the leftover water from my tub to just water the rest. And yeah, I'm gonna have a couple videos coming. A lot of my propagations are ready, so I'm gonna teach you kind of how to propagate and pot those up in another video. And I also have obviously my 100 subscriber special, which is well underway in filming. So I'm very excited to be able to hopefully share that soon. The Reptile Expo is coming up. I will also film that. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully you learned some little secrets, tricks of the trade, why I keep so many of my plants in cabinets. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!